the invisible force shaping your body. Write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. I'd love to get to know you better. And if you want to support the channel completely for free, just hit subscribe and drop a like before we dive in. Now, here's something that might stop you cold. You could be eating less than your friend, sleeping the same hours, moving just as much, and yet your body keeps gaining weight while theirs doesn't. That's not a character flaw. That's not laziness. And it is absolutely not just about calories in versus calories out. What if the real reason you're gaining weight has almost nothing to do with willpower and everything to do with a system running silently inside you, one that most doctors barely mention and most diet plans completely ignore? Weight gain, for most people, is not a math problem, it's a biology problem. And once you understand the actual science behind why your body stores fat, why it resists losing it, and why certain invisible triggers can override every good decision you make, everything starts to make a different kind of sense. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to walk through the real mechanisms, the hormones that control whether your body burns or stores energy, the surprising ways your environment is working against you, the physiological chain reaction that happens in your body when chronic stress, poor sleep, or even certain foods shift your metabolism into a fat-storing state without you realizing it. This isn't about blame. This is about understanding your body well enough to work with it instead of against it. Let's begin. Section 1. The hormone nobody talks about. Here's where the story really starts, and it's not where most people expect. Most conversations about weight loss begin with food and exercise. But underneath every bite you take and every step you walk, there's a hormonal control system quietly deciding what your body does with the energy it receives. And the lead character in that system is a hormone called insulin. Insulin is a messenger. When you eat, especially carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises, and your pancreas releases insulin to bring it back down. Insulin tells your cells, take in this glucose, use it for energy. That's a beautifully elegant system. Except here's where it gets complicated. Insulin doesn't just manage blood sugar. It is also the body's primary fat storage signal. When insulin levels are elevated, your body is biochemically prohibited from burning fat. It simply cannot access those stores. The metabolic door is locked. Now, in a healthy body with balanced meals and adequate movement, insulin rises and falls in predictable waves. But in the modern world, with frequent snacking, processed foods that spike blood sugar rapidly, and high levels of chronic stress, many people are living with chronically elevated insulin. Their cells eventually become less responsive to it. This is called insulin resistance, meaning the cells don't respond to insulin signal as easily anymore, so the pancreas has to produce even more. And here's the cruel irony. The more insulin your body pumps out, the more powerfully it signals your fat cells to store energy, and the harder it becomes to access that stored energy later. Research consistently links insulin resistance not just to weight gain, but to fatigue, brain fog, persistent hunger, and cravings that feel almost impossible to control. This isn't a personal failing, it's a feedback loop, and understanding it is the first step to interrupting it. Section 2. The calorie myth and what research actually shows. Now, let's address the thing everyone believes, and why it's not the whole picture. Calories in, calories out. Eat less, move more. If you've struggled with your weight, you've probably heard this so many times it starts to sound like an accusation. And here's the thing. The basic thermodynamic principle is real. Energy balance does matter. But what that model completely misses is this. Your body is not a passive machine. It actively responds to what you eat, when you eat, how stressed you are, and how much you sleep. And those responses dramatically change how many calories you actually burn and how many you store. Studies have shown that two people consuming identical calorie amounts can have vastly different metabolic outcomes depending on what those calories are made of. A diet high in ultra-processed foods, Foods engineered for maximum palatability and rapid digestion triggers a very different hormonal response than a diet of whole, minimally processed foods, even at the same caloric count. Ultra-processed foods tend to spike blood sugar faster, stimulate more insulin, suppress a hormone called leptin, which is your body's satiety signal, the hormone that tells your brain you're full, and increase another hormone called ghrelin, which drives hunger. You can eat 1,000 calories of one thing and feel satisfied for hours, or 1,000 calories of something else and feel hungry again within 90 minutes. This is why willpower so often fails. You're not fighting a choice. You're fighting a hormonal cascade that your brain interprets as genuine physical need. Research in nutrition science has repeatedly found that food quality, meal timing, and the hormonal environment your food creates matter enormously. The calorie model isn't wrong, it's just dangerously incomplete. Section 3. What chronic stress does to your fat cells. And now, we get to the part that surprises almost everyone, even people who think they eat well and exercise regularly. Stress makes you gain weight, not metaphorically, literally, physiologically, at the cellular level. When your brain perceives a threat, whether that's an actual physical danger or a flood of work emails or a difficult relationship, it activates the stress response. Your adrenal glands, two small organs that sit on top of your kidneys, release a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone, and in short bursts, it's life-saving. It raises blood sugar to give you quick energy, it sharpens focus, it prepares your muscles for action. But your body evolved to handle acute short-term stressors, a predator, a physical threat, something that resolves. What it was not designed for is the kind of low-grade, unrelenting stress that defines modern life. When cortisol stays elevated for weeks or months, the consequences are profound. Chronically high cortisol keeps blood sugar elevated, which keeps insulin elevated, which signals your body to store fat, particularly visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat that accumulates deep in the abdominal cavity, around your organs. It is metabolically active in ways that ordinary fat is not. It releases its own inflammatory signals, it worsens insulin sensitivity, and research has linked it strongly to cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic dysfunction. There's more. High cortisol also breaks down muscle tissue over time, and muscle is metabolically expensive, meaning the more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns at rest. Lose muscle, and your resting metabolism slows. Your body burns less, stores more, and the cycle continues. This is why people under high chronic stress so often find that their usual habits stop working. The biology has shifted beneath them. Section 4. Sleep, the gut, and the surprising levers you can pull. Here's where everything comes together, and where there is genuinely good news. Let's talk about sleep first, because it may be the most underestimated lever in metabolic health. Research in sleep science has revealed something striking. Even a single night of significantly disrupted sleep can elevate cortisol the following day, reduce insulin sensitivity, increase ghrelin, your hunger hormone, and decrease leptin. In simple terms, one bad night can make you hungrier, less satisfied when you eat, more prone to cravings, and less efficient at using energy. Studies in this area suggest that people who chronically sleep fewer than 6 hours per night show significantly different hormonal profiles than those who get 7 to 9 hours. And those differences map almost perfectly onto the biological conditions that promote weight gain. Now let's talk about the gut. Your digestive tract contains trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses, collectively called the gut microbiome. And researchers are only beginning to understand how profoundly this ecosystem affects metabolism, hunger, inflammation, and even mood. Certain bacterial profiles appear to extract more energy from food, leaving less to be excreted. Others produce compounds that affect appetite signals and insulin sensitivity. The composition of your gut microbiome is shaped by your diet, your stress levels, your sleep, and it in turn shapes your metabolic health. So, what can you actually do with all of this? Prioritize sleep as non negotiable. Eat in ways that keep your blood sugar stable. Fewer refined carbohydrates, more fiber, more protein, more whole foods. Manage stress not as a luxury, but as a metabolic intervention. Move your body, not just for calorie burn, but because physical activity is one of the most powerful tools we know of for improving insulin sensitivity and reducing cortisol. Your body is not your enemy. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, responding to the signals it receives. Change the signals, and the body responds.